Well, we are thrilled to welcome today to the podcast the one and only James Cartwright, who plays Harrison Burns. Welcome!
80, all about Ambridge. Look at this, in full force, colourful, glorious, merged up, bespectacled. It's an absolute tonic on a Monday. I don't know when it comes out, but this is a sort of hot Monday.
Well, James, thanks for introducing us anyway. That's brilliant.
Pleasure. There aren't enough Quentins, Laurens, Philippas and KPs. Well, it's a real honour. It's a real honour for me to be part of your little family.
Thank you very much.
It's like a club, isn't it, the Archers? It's like a secret club.
Yes.
You know? Well, a secret club of 6 million people.
Yes.
I do like that element of it.
Yeah.
You know?
You do need to know the codes. Now, James. Now, James, we're recording this the morning after the night before, i.e. Sunday's dramatic episode. And it occurred to me, my word, Sergeant Burns is going to have his hands full after that, isn't he?
Well, it's the crash and splash. What happens? What do we do? What goes on? Then you just hear, oh no. Splash. And that literally is a sort of cliffhanger into the river, and that's it.
Yeah.
But there's theories aplenty, isn't there? Who's in the car?
Yeah.
Do they survive? Do they drown? Blimey.
But you'll be investigating a possible fatal RTA, drink driving without license or insurance. I mean,
it's nervous times as an actor, because I'll tell you what, you hear there's a car in the river. You're reading your next month's scripts, checking you're on the roof car. Nobody wants to be on a roof, Alan Nigel. No one wants to.
Yeah,
you'll be all right though. You'll be investigating it, James. So don't worry.
It's possible, darling. It's possible, One just do a little bit of investigation from time to time. One has one's nose to the ground,
It was some episode, though, wasn't it?
I think it was fantastic. What's really wonderful is Jeremy, our editor, Jeremy Howe, I think is one of the most brilliant creative minds, not only in sort of drama, but on radio. He was the head of BBC radio drama for a long time. And then we were so lucky to get him, for this. And obviously, so I always call him the Admiral, Jeremy, aboard the good ship Ambridge. And then his first mate is David Penn. And so between them, they disappear. So when you're in the Archer's office, David's got an office and Jeremy's got an office. And then every so often, you see Jeremy and David with the door closed. You think there'd be plannings afoot in there. And then next thing you know, they come out. And I was once sat next to Jeremy, not that long ago, in the green room. And I said to him, hey, I'm not sure about all this Harrison business, getting sacked. And he went, do you think you may? Yeah, I went, I don't know. Oh, he's wonderful. He's full of mystery. It is, I think, it is one of the greatest shows ever. And I think to be part of it, it's, as I was saying before, I don't know if we recorded, but it's just such a great honour. It feels like such a little club that you're part of, and people are so passionate about it, which is when I was on a dog walk yesterday up near Pendle Hill. I don't know if you know that, it's up in Lancashire, but I was up there and I got, chatting to someone and they went, this is going to sound very strange if it's not. But are you Harrison? Oh, no, I am, yes. I've listened for 50 years. Harrison. Someone else overheard on a different table was having breakfast and went, from the Archers? Telling the whippet. And about 10 people over. Well, what's going on? Things and Alice is drinking. It was like it's real life and interact on that level. I think it's one of the great joys. We're part of this secret world. There's sort of people involved in it. And I think there's something so sort of juicy and salacious and wonderful about that we have this shared experience of this fictional village. Actually documentary. It's a documentary.
Thank you.
Fictional village, in the Midlands. And we all share in that. Isn't it wonderful? And we know the characters and we sort of guess what's going on. And it's even weirder being in it because the only way I could describe it is, that computer game, Sims? Do you remember?
Yeah.
It's like living The Sims. You sort of get, and your character does all this stuff and you're involved in it. It's, it's super weird. And you become really protective as well. You find something's happening and you go like, blimey, it's great.
Oh, wow.
So Harrison's job was a bit precarious when we first were looking at it, and he was being taken to court and everything, and it was all being looked into. So he's on his kind of final warning at the moment. So what other jobs do you think Harrison would be good at if it came to it?
Excellent question. I mean, the thing is, let's have it right. He's not a great policeman, is he? I mean, you know, any time any crime goes on and Harrison's in charge, I think we all get a little concerned. It's never going to be solved. I mean, the case of the missing Bunty, which went on endlessly, no culprit was ever found. You know, I remember arresting Jill for throwing a flapjack at a protest. Perhaps got stolen again. You know, another culprit gone. What would he be good at? Well, I think he'd probably do something in nature, or he could possibly work at the Bull, maybe. Maybe he could do you know, that used to be the traditional, when I was a young lad, very often up north, publicans were either ex-servicemen or policemen. I don't know why, it was a sort of thing. So maybe it could be a publican. I don't know. But gosh, I mean, it was all very, I've never in my life whipped up because I heard he was in trouble and he wouldn't, because we only find out a month before it comes on air. So I knew I was in trouble. And I didn't know if I kept my job or not. The last pack of scripts was me being in trouble. And I think the last line of the episode is, "Hey, love, I might lose my job." You know, gosh. So then I had like a full month to wait, and I have never in my life whipped up a pack of scripts. The postman went like, "For my last one, is the house on fire?" I went, "No, babe." Well, but luckily, you know, they saw sense. He's a good police. But what do you do in that situation? You know,
I thought he was. Yeah, he acted very decently. I thought. Yeah.
Well,
he did the right thing. He was punished for doing the right thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Quentin. I wish you'd have been at the hearing.
Where were you?
Yeah, where were you when it mattered? After time, huh?
Call me up. I'll be there. Yeah.
It'd be great. Wouldn't it be great if we could have called? I'd like to call my first witness. All about Ambridge stars.
I'm here. Yeah.
Well, when I was thinking about what questions I was going to ask you, James, I was thinking about my first memory of Harrison. And I don't know if it's one of my first memories, but I remember very vividly the scene where he arrests Freddie. And I believe he was dressed as a Spice Girl at the time. He was on his stag do. Is that right? Was he dressed as a...
That's true. Gosh,
I remember.
We were talking... Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, and I was wondering if you're into fancy dress and what's the most serious thing you've done whilst dressed up? Because that's
really
pretty intense.
This podcast now, guys. Totally.
The hard-hitting questions.
I know where we're at. Yeah.
You get the kinky questions from Lauren, okay?
Very Paxman-esque. Yeah. Do I like? I've got to be honest. I am not a big fancy dress.
No, me neither, actually.
Do you know what it is? Is in my short but colourful life, I've been to a few fancy dress parties, and I love the first 10 minutes. But then I'm just a ketchup bottle for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sat there like that. You know, and I have to get the train home. There's a bottle of you get in the taxi driver, and out of context is ridiculous. You know, you get in a cab home, you've got a few taxi drivers going, "Good night, mate," and you're going, yeah.
That's quite a serious thing, though, to get the train dressed as a ketchup bottle. I'll take that as an answer. Like, just you sadly sat on the train dressed as a ketchup bottle.
There's a great video that I got sent, actually, and it's a group of lads who told their mate they were going on a fancy dress stag do. And they're all on the train, and he's at the platform, the only one in fancy dress, and it's not fancy dress at all.
And they always smell of it, don't they? Let's be honest, when you hire them.
Yeah. Oh. I once went as Winnie the Pooh when I was about 20, I think, to a fancy dress, and I lost it.
That's just a red T-shirt, James. There's no bottoms.
I went the full thing, you know, like Pugsy the Bear. With the head, and it was whoa. And then I'd had a few drinks, and I lost the head.
Oh,
and I had to pay 200 quid, and I went, I'm not doing it again. That's the best days were gone. But I remember that episode
Yeah.
with the arresting Freddie, and we were talking about it in the green room the other day with Toby, who plays Freddie, is fantastic. And I always think a good game to play, I always think, is if they made The Archers the movie, who would have the part in the film? Because who looks like how you imagine them to look like? It's a great game. I love to play myself. Let me tell you, Toby is exactly what you think Freddie would.
Oh, okay.
He's full of mischief.
Yeah.
He's great and charming. And so, but also, we were talking about it in the green room, and I said, what type of plank would sell ease at a police officer's store? Like, you know, what level of imbecile do you have to be a drug dealer on, not even in the vicinity of, on a policeman's stag with 15 coppers? Like, hang on, do you want an E?
I think he thought he was untouchable, didn't he? Was the vibe I remember.
The kingpin.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like Fred as a character. But no, yeah, so Fancy Fest, not a big fan.
No.
There's also another thing that I remember with Harrison where they wanted him to have sparkly hot pants. He was a stripper as well, I think.
Yes, I remember something about hot pants.
I remember reading and I went...
Funny you remember that, Lauren.
Yeah. The depth of character. He's a stripper as well. He paid himself through university as a stripper.
Yeah.
As a spice boy, apparently.
Yes.
In sparkly hot pants. But isn't that the other great joy of The Archers is it's this wonderful tapestry where you've got woven in really serious stuff, which we love, the juice and the drama, and there's issues and different things, but also it isn't afraid to be silly sometimes or funny. And I think that's the great joy of it. And I think, you know, a lot of the other soaps, the problem with them is, you know, no disrespect to any of the other soaps, of course, but they're issue based all the time. So, you know, it's literally, they pick an issue and they pick the issue first and then they put the characters in. But with The Archers, it's the opposite. It's a character-driven drama. And so what they do is they have the characters and then go, oh, I wonder what it'd be like if Lillian did that or if Justin did that. And so they sort of reverse engineer it. And I think it really shows in the programme because nothing feels crowbarred in. You know what I mean? Well, I don't
Absolutely.
Think so, anyway. You'll probably disagree. So it does, James. It really does. So has to be a cheerleader. Disagree.
No, and talking about the character, James, I mean, I was interested in you saying that you didn't think Harrison was that skilled a policeman, because in my mind, his mother bought him a police outfit when he was a child and he still uses that for work. And his car is one of those with pedals that you get in and have to pedal round Ambridge, tooting his horn. Is that anywhere?
The little plastic truncheon, bonk. Yeah. What's not, Gail? Bonk. Yeah.
Well, that's just how...
from bonk. But, no, I think there is an element to him. I think he's a really, I think he's a very nice man who always wants to do his best. And I think in doing that, I think, that he's been in trouble recently with that. It's you know, it's not always easy. I think the great thing about being a policeman in a local community is that you know everyone socially and professionally. But the downside of that, I think, which is a genuine problem for local policemen, is it's very hard to arrest someone or to, you know, investigate someone you know from the pub, because then you've got to sit and have a pint and be like, well, see you Wednesday for that interview. Do you know that? You know what I mean? All right, good to see you, Quentin. It's 2 o'clock, mate. Still on suspicion. There.
Give another one.
But he is so kind and selfless. But do you wish sometimes you had a few sort of line of duty scenes where it was all a bit more pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I think I love the way he's written, because I think there's enough of that in the world. I think you have to decide what you want The Archers to be, you know, what you want any show to be. And you either depict it as real life and it's brutal and it's like, you know, or which is a version of doing it, or you decide that for 13 minutes a day, you're going to give people a little escapism. you know. And I think within that, I think you can have a little bit of that, because obviously if it's a comic book, it's not serious. You know, you don't want to have to suspend belief to the point. That's why I don't like sci-fi myself. Nothing wrong with it, but I struggle with suspending belief that much that someone can fly and blast through walls, and then he's in the office, and you know, so like you have to. So I think there's an element, there's a way of doing it where you can sort of heighten it without it being a comic book, and I think The Archers does that quite well. It sort of weaves things in that are, you know, that are fun, but also it is escapism ultimately. You don't want 30 minutes of doom and gloom, do you?
No.
Now,
not on Radio 4.
Now, James, when we interviewed John Telfer, who plays the Reverend Alan Franks, he was telling us how you two try to out-northern one another. So who do you think is more northern, the copper or the man of God?
Well, let me tell thee right, that lad here, that Telfer, that priest, he's northern. Let me tell you, he's a blast. He's never under ferret in his life. Where's that whippet, lad? Where's that whippet? What did they have for tea? Something fancy? Ooh, pasta? Pie and mash, me lad. Pie and mash. Don't care about cholesterol. Me hot mushy pea. I bleed mushy. It is funny when I love John. Also, did you know John was like a punk rock singer and stuff?
Yeah.
So interesting. I was sat there one day, obviously he plays the Reverend. He was like, yeah, I was in an 80s punk band. I went, what? What are you talking about, Tel? I love all that. And yeah, he is, you know, he's not full northern, is he, Tel? I mean, he, you know, I'll have him as honorary. But he's not, you know, he's never. I was down the pit at 8 years old, right? You know, I lived off cardboard until I was 12, you know. And then I was lucky. We got cardboard on a Sunday. We thought, I was lucky. You know, he's had it rough up here, let me tell you.
Well, I think we take it that you think you're more northern, and obviously we need more scenes between the two of you, because you had a few, didn't you, when you were dabbling with religion and all that? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't.
Sorry.
I love him, and he's just a really lovely actor. I think what he's got is certain people have voices on radio, don't they? And I'm closing my eyes like I'm listening to it. I don't know. And you can sort of, as soon as they come on, not only do you know who it is, but there's a sort of richness to them, you know. And I think he's got one of them voices. He sounds like a local vicar, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he's got that sort of gravitas, but he's also complicated, and he has anxieties, and you know, he's a wonderful actor too.
I think Charles Collingwood's voice is similar as well. It's just a fabulous voice.
Charles. I love Charles. Also, the greatest thing ever is he still wears cravats. Like he is what you'd want him to be. Charles comes in and, like, you know, 2024, he's got a cravat on like he's nothing, you know. Hello, darling. Hello, dear heart. Hello. You know, hello, Charles. Very good. And he calls, because I call everyone cocker, because it's a northern phrase. Hello, cocker. You know. And cocker. How are you, darling? You know. He is everything you'd want him to be. And actually, I think the distance travelled between Charles and Brian, it's not a long hop across the street. He's a wonderful actor, lovely. Yeah. You know, all of those guys, particularly the people who've been in it a long time, the vocal quality they've got is wonderful. The full, you know, your Lillians and your Bryans and Linda's.
Yeah.
Linda, oh my God, Carol Boy. Love Carol Boy. The other day I was in the studio and I said, are you staying up tonight, Carol? She went, yes. Can I treat you to a cocktail? She went, oh, yes. And so I took her to this nice cocktail bar in Birmingham called Marco P.O. White's. It's got a nice view of the city. And I said, what would you like, Carol Boy? And she went, oh, I'll have a margarita. And so we sat in this view drinking margaritas. Isn't she wonderful?
Yeah.
And so funny. She's got some great stories. And she went to me one day, she went, where are you from again in the north? I said, well, I'm from Lancashire, Carl. She went, oh, yes. She went, I remember Lancashire back in the 80s when I was touring. And that's when provincial towns were deadly.
Oh, brilliant.
She's one of my favourites. I love her. I love her. Also, I always love the Linda sniff, which she uses at will and is never written. So you never know when it's coming to, well, Harrison.
Yeah.
I might make myself available.
Wonderful. I think we can all safely say that we all love Harrison as a character.
Oh, well, that means a lot. Thank you.
Oh, that's all right. But you as James, what characteristics of Harrison do you love the most?
Well, I think the main thing that I love his relationships. I like his relationship to Fallon, who is Jo Van Kampen, who is also one of my best friends, which I
Oh,
love.
that's so nice.
Oh, I love her. Every time I see, there's people when they walk in the room, and because I'm like a Labrador anyway, I'm like Tigger, you probably guessed that by now. So, I'm like a Labrador off a leash. I'm like, hey, hi. But whenever she walks in a room, I just go, oh, I love you. It's like when if you've got a dog, I don't know if you have, and you've been asleep, and you come down in the morning, they go, you've been up there this whole time. Oh my God! Hey. That's how I feel with Jo Van Kampen. She walks in, and I go, something about me. What's going on?
Well, I have to confess, many other male listeners do have a bit of a crush on Fallon, I have to say. So.
Oh, God, completely understandable.
Yeah.
She's glorious. And, as Fallon, but also as Jo Van Kampen.
Right, okay.
She's beautiful.
And how good did Fallon look in that Maid Marian costume?
Let me tell you. Now, there was a big debate on that. There was with the Maid Marian thing, because we went, is that too obscure? And also, Maid Marian, it wasn't Robin Hood. I was dressed as the Sheriff of Nottingham.
It's quite niche.
It was niche. And me and Joe went, what does the Sheriff of Nottingham even look like? What is that? So we sort of talked it around, and we were wondering whether it should be Ken and Barbie or whether it's something else. And then in the end, we sort of talked around with Dave Payne was directing that. And we talked around, and in the end, we said, no, we'll keep it. And I'm glad we did, because it was very funny. It was very, very funny. I know. She looked glorious as Maid Marian. She looks glorious as anything, does Van Kampen. I call her Van Kampen. All right, Van Kampen. How are you doing? But she's glorious. And she's so beautiful in real. Those people who are sort of,
right.
That great word, effervescent.
Nice.
She's sort of glowing.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Rolling, cascading brown hair. Oh, God. I've got a crush on Jo as well. We all do.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. I've got good taste, good.
You've got excellent taste, Quentin. If you guys ever come up, we should have an all about Archers hangout, shouldn't we, in Birmingham?
Oh, great.
Oh,
We'd love that.
Definitely.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, don't.
Don't.
Oh, sweet.
I'm on my way.
We must. Listen, I originally met you, Philippa. I wasn't sure who Philippa was. Did she tell you the story?
Yeah, I know some of it. It's basically involved.
Out of work. I'd sort of come out of work. It's been a long day. I've been in order. Came out. I was a bit, as you are after a long day. And you've been in studio, so there's no natural daylight. And I opened the door, and Philippa came over. Hi. And I went, hi. Hi, Philippa. And I went, hello, Philippa. How are you? No, I'm not mad. I do a podcast all about the Archers. And I went, all right. And she went, will you do the podcast? And I went, yeah. I just spoke to BBC Press about this. I had sort of visions of, what's that film where James Caan gets strapped to a bed?
Misery.
Misery.
Thanks, James.
And she went, no, it's fine. We've done everyone.
Above board.
But no, and I hadn't heard of it. And I went, oh, yeah, okay, cool. I said, well, let me know. And here we are. But it was so funny. She went, hi, I'm Philippa. And I went, hello, Philippa.
And James, your face
actually,
when I said to you, can I have your email address? You were just like, if you go through the BBC, stalk.
But James, she'd just got off the bed with Charles, as you probably know.
I was
She'd been meeting Charles in his bed.
Yeah, I was just meeting Charles.
Oh.
Before he took me to his bedroom.
I saw you sat, and I think he was perverted at that time, actually.
Yes.
I think it was spotting him wrong. Sat on the question time stuff, weren't you? In the BBC, I walked past for you.
What, just to check that I hadn't made it up, James?
Yeah. No, she's all right.
Looks above board. Well, you mentioned earlier about people recognising your voice, and I was watching the Downton Abbey film, and I thought,
you darling.
I know that voice.
I'll tell you what, they put me downstairs, didn't they? There was no way me near the good silver. You know what I mean?
But I was thrilled to see you in it, and what was it like being part of another massive franchise as well as the Archers, to be part of the Downton Abbey as well?
It was magnificent. It was a real pleasure. What were funny is it was because it was top secret, because they'd called it the Castle Project, right?
Oh.
And so it was top secret. It was untitled, the Castle Project. And my agent said, look, they're not releasing a script, but there's this project. And they sent it, and he goes, I'm going to send you the pages. So he sent me over, and it said, and it was just called Plumber, and then Person One, right?
Yeah.
This was all they were giving away. It didn't say Daisy. Plumber. And it says, handsome man walks in. Hi, I'm the plumber. Do you want to show me where your boiler is? Right? And so I was having to think of it as like a 70s porno. Hang on. There's no title. I'm a plumber who comes in, asks where the boiler is. That's all we get. I says, I'm not sure about this. And he said, no, James, we think it's Downton. I went, well, if it is, then we're right.
Oh, amazing.
Hey, what a wonderful thing. Now, it was funny because there were a bit in that where in the script it says, takes top off, right? I went, blimey, I'm going to have to get my top off in a film. So there's no motivation like it. So I was dieting, I was doing the gym, I got the full abs out. I thought, this is my Brad Pitt moment in Thelma and Louise, So I was starving myself and all that. Then I went, so for about 4 months of this, I went to the costume fitting, and she went, so this is what you'll be wearing. And then I said, so in the scene where he takes everything off, he just takes it off, I presume. I said, because I might have a problem in the scene with the buttons on this waistcoat. She went, James, this is Edwardian Britain. You don't take it to another woman. What? I says, right. I says, what about, what would I have a vest on? I don't know this word, Oh, no. She said, you never go past waistcoat. I went home, I says to it last, I says, oh, no, I'm doing all that for now. Give me a pie in.
Well, she got a six-pack out of you, didn't she?
Not that she's bothered. She finds it all really boring. All that, I was doing a film before Christmas that I had to get my top off in, and all that. She finds it so boring. She's like, "This is so boring." I'd be like, "What's for tea?" I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna have a salad and 80 grams of." She's like, "Weighing your food." So boring. Like, she's an hairdresser from Burnley. I don't know why I'm doing that voice for her. It was actually more like that,
James, can we just talk about Harrison's faith? Because that was quite a surprise for us at the time when he became Christian. And we now think, because Shula's hopped off, so we now think that maybe Harrison is going to be the new vicar eventually and replace Alan. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, one, I love these theories. I think they're great. I love all of them. I mean, it's possible. Who better to step into the shoes? It's I like that. I love things like the detail of the Archers, and that's what makes it really valuable. Is it's detail that you can only really do over the format it is, which is never ending, essentially. So the little details of, if it's a film, you can insinuate that, or you have to make a thing about it. But the subtleties of him being religious, he's a policeman. Like, there's all these things that make it more, the sort of complexity of character. But I love the faith. I refound I was raised a Catholic. I'm from near Bolton, so all my aunties are like Anne Marie, Mary. You know what I mean? They're all that sort of thing. It's a very Catholic family. And so I was raised a Catholic, and then I lost my faith, and then my grandma sadly passed, who was like my mum to me. I loved her, and it funnily the connection that I found in church, because we'd always gone to church together as a young man. You know, the ritual that felt so familiar, felt very close to her in that space. So it's really interesting for Harrison to go through finding faith. It's a wonderful thing, I think, faith. And I go to church, and I think. I always say, it's funny, we were watching a program the other day about an avalanche, you know, one of these Netflix documentaries, and this couple were on it who got covered in snow. And I said, isn't it funny when you get covered in snow, you're not praying to science? Do you know? Do you know, like, in that moment, you're in a 5 feet of snow, you do go, listen, I don't think I believe, but I'll tell you what, if you are there, get out, you know. And it's a funny thing, it's sort of in us all, isn't it, you know? And it's nice. I like his faith. And I would love to be the vicar. It'd be great. Any of those pole positions within the village. Really step into. Yeah, as the policeman, but vicar, barman. Yeah. I don't know what else could he do. I think he'd be terrible in the tea room. I think he's very clumsy, Harrison, like me. I think he's a very clumsy man. I can't imagine him very sort of, you know.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear what you've got to say about this, James, because it's clear to me, at least I think as a listener, that Harrison will always crave to become a father, despite what he says to Fallon. And deep down, she knows that too. Do you think this issue isn't going away and could ultimately undermine their marriage?
God, these are really great questions, guys. I love this show. Let's do it every week. I want to be on the panels. No, it's great. We've got silly and then really silly. Great. It's a really funny thing that, in it, you know, as a couple, about making that choice. I've got a couple of friends who've made that choice and when we're not going to have kids, and they've made that choice. Now, you know, I not being inside the relationship, I don't know how equal that choice was, whether it was or wasn't. It's really interesting. He will always want to be a father. Always. He'd always imagined being a father, I think. And it's hard because, you know, there's a clock on those things. And I think secretly he may always harbour that, you know, and whether that will play out down the line where, you know, that could cause some friction. I don't know. But it's a really good question. In an otherwise perfect relationship, it's not his choice, but he loves her so much. He adores her just so much that actually, you know, that is just something, a price to pay for the glory that is Fallon. Fallon Burns.
Yeah.
Fallon Burns.
I love the representation that there's a couple that potentially don't want children. My husband and I, we don't want children.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really nice to have that. I know there are some issues going on with Harrison potentially wanting it, but like, I don't think it always has to be so sad that somebody wants kids and somebody doesn't want kids, or this poor couple can't have kids. Like, sometimes there's just couples that don't want kids. So that representation really matters to people.
I agree. And honestly, Lauren, I think like, the world is different now. It's a different world. And I think people are exploring, you know, the very traditional sort of progressive track of, gosh, we're getting onto bigger life stuff, aren't we, guys? But that traditional trajectory of going, you know, you get married at 18, you have your kids, you buy your house, get yourself a good position in a good job, you work your way up, you get your gold watch, you retire at 60, and that's a life well lived.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that tradition, like people are suddenly going, nah, man, I want to set up a juice bar in You know what I mean? And I can't do that if I've got a 7-year-old, so I don't want to do that. And actually, it's great. It's your life. It doesn't matter. And I think, you know, it's a wonderful thing to have adult issues and adult conversations to go, I don't know, we have a nice life. I know it's great for everyone, but I don't know if I want kids, you know, and me and my partner, you know, I'm coming up to 40 and she is 40. And we're at that point where we're having those chats. I don't know if we will. I don't know if we want. I don't know. But we're sort of talking around it because there is that issue, isn't there? You go, I don't want to be defined by being a parent. I have a really nice life. But then ultimately, is it something I want? I don't know. You know, like, but no, I love that about them. I love the way it was done. I thought it was really well written. To answer your question, Quentin, I think it'll always be there. And I don't know. That's up to Jeremy and David, but I would imagine it will rear its head at some point.
It was just a little indication, wasn't there? There was that lovely scene recently between you and Henry, and they, Fallon and I think was it Emma on looking, and they could all see how lovely you were with Henry, and your paternalism was coming out. And
gosh, you guys do listen, don't you?
Oh, we do.
Oh, we do.
Yeah. And there was just a tone. There was just a tone in Fallon's voice of concern and fear, knowing deep down that's what you still want. I thought, anyway. It was really well acted. I think the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was right. It's just very clever. I think the writers. I know everybody said, but the writers are really, really good. If you think of the skill set, so if you write a play, you've got 2 hours, right, to explore a thing. If you write a movie, what have you got? 90 minutes to 4 hours if you Paul Thomas Anderson. But other than that, you've got to sort of cram in a whole, all different scenes and a narrative and the characters, as well as being a bigger part of an overarching story. You've got to do that in, 16 pages?
Yeah.
No, literally 16. That's really tricky to skillfully do. And I think they do such a good job of that, because you can write one scene that's 10 pages in a TV thing. And you have 3 or 4 pages, like you said, to get all them subtleties in. No, they do amazing, Really amazing.
Yeah.
Well, James, we come on to the questions from our Facebook group, and there are quite a few of these, so feel free to to answer as quick as you want, because I say this. People have a lot of questions for you.
Hurry up, James.
Quentin, you've got the first one. Go for it.
As quick as you like. Honestly, just as fast as you want.
Yeah. And looking through them now, James, you've touched on some of these subjects already. So just
hot pants.
to
Thousands of questions about hot pants.
I'll leave that to the imagination. I wouldn't want to put people. I mean, this is being filmed, isn't it? I wouldn't want to put people up their lunch or whatever it should be. Being sparkly hot pants, I'm sure, is not what you'd hope it would be. Or equally what you dread, I think. If I said that to my lass, I went, look, fancy me in sparkly hot pants, I think you just hear dry retching from a corner.
We had that last night with Alice. Anyway.
Oh, didn't she do well?
Oh, yeah.
Also, I loved it when George goes, whoa, the bottle of vodka, that's hardcore.
Yeah.
Just like juvenile, almost semi-respect. Hardcore.
Anyway,
Sorry, questions, go on.
Sorry, on to the first question from our Facebook members, and the first comes from Sarah, and she asks, have Harrison and Alan ever been in a scene together, and has there ever been confusion?
No, we've been in lots of scenes together. I think as I'm a proper northerner and Alan is, he's like, 30%. I mean, he don't bleed mushy pee. Let's put it that way. He's never wore a pair of clogs. I doubt he was down the mine at 8. You can tell the authenticity, can't you? So I would hope, as a listener, you'd know the true northerner versus the, it's sort of, he's honorary, at best.
So if you ever become vicar, they'll never know the difference, or they'll just be even...
I know. Oh gosh. I know. He's wonderful. But as a true northerner, I'll give him his dues. He does a good job, does our Alan.
All right. So there's no confusion because you're more northern than Alan. Okay, right.
Yeah, and if there is confusion, I think you should come to Lancashire and see the authentic thing.
So our next question's from Rowan.
Hello, Rowan.
And they said that Harrison bought Martha a doll's house for her 3rd birthday. So what would James choose to buy for a 3-year-old?
Gosh, Excellent questions, guys. What I always like with audience questions is, the things that have really played on someone's mind. He's quite a moment. He's sat there, he's going, what do you think, Harrison, about a 3-year-old? What do you think? Oh, across the dinner table. Are you okay there, love? Just wondering what to buy a 3-year-old. Get it out of my head. I'm just, what would I buy a 3-year-old? Well, I have nieces and nephews, and I'm a big believer in reading to children. I love to read. I read all the time. Yeah, I love it. It's my big thing is reading. And I think there's too many phones, and nothing makes me sadder than just seeing kids stuck behind phones. I know people do it and it's fine, but all the time as a sort of form. So I buy books and I read the books is what I do.
Lovely.
Love
When
it.
Rowan's thinking, I've got a 3-year-old's birthday coming up. I'll take a hint from James and I'll buy some books for that.
Listen, buy a book, or if you want, get in touch and I'll read the book back.
Oh,
We've got Nelly the Whippet here. It's Nelly.
oh, Nelly, let's hear.
She's not your fair. Ooh.
Oh,
Hello, Nelly.
what a profile.
I know, gosh, famous. Just literally gone to a football and gone, absolutely not, whatever this is. So yes, books, big believer in books.
Perfect.
Big believer in reading to
Great
kids,
answer.
sparking the imagination. And the thing is, the sooner you start all that, the more it becomes a treat as opposed to a chore. Some of my friends will be like, oh my gosh, I've read this book, and they'll go, yeah, I'll just wait till the film comes. And I think, yeah, but you're missing the point. That's not its intended medium.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, Philippa and Lauren don't like books at all.
We've based our whole personality on books, haven't we, Philippa?
Guys, can we also say I'm just in total awe of the colour coordination of Philippa.
And
Like,
Laura,
this is such a...
Yeah, mine are also in.
Look, you guys... Oh, stop. Oh, my God.
I should
Is the wardrobe...
James, I should say no.
It's just shades of stools every
only books, but Lauren is queen
or is it all
of
t-shirts.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Lauren is queen of YouTube for books. She has a whole YouTube channel about books, and that's how I met Lauren.
As well, Lauren. Let's do that.
Come on,
Let's
I've got
about a book.
And I've got a book podcast as well. So yeah, books are our jam. Books in the Archers.
Let's plug it. What's the podcast? Let's plug it.
It's called the Quick Book Reviews Podcast, and there we are. And Lauren's YouTube channel is Lauren and the Books.
I bet that's been a nightmare since they released that accounting software. You were like, QuickBooks, and then the accounting software came in. You went, oh my God, my social... It's a nightmare. My Google ranking is like way down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? My SEO is all up the shoes.
How dare they?
You understand.
Yeah, darling, you know. And what's yours called, Lauren? What's yours? So we've got quick.
Lauren and the Books. Lauren and the Books. I've got a YouTube channel. I've been doing it for 10 years, James. It's, like I said, based my whole personality around it.
Well, I'm going to make a note of that.
Oh, do.
I will. I'm in. Lauren and the Books. That's
there we go.
There we go.
Blimey, right.
There we go.
Right. Another subscriber. I've got a question from Andy. Andy wants to know, what does James think Harrison really wants to do as a career? And what, apart from acting, would be James's alternative career?
Hello, Andy. Thank you for your lovely question. I think that... he loves nature, doesn't he? I think he could very easily just be a sort of landscape gardener-y sort of guy.
Oh, yeah.
Him doing a bit of sort of top off on a hot day, just sort of planting and getting all sort of super weird about the intricacy of plants. I could imagine him doing that. And what would I do? Well, my dear granddad, who's sadly no longer with us, he was a joiner. And all I ever wanted to do when I was a kid would be in a joiner. That's all I wanted to do. I knocked my first nail in when I was about 2. I used to watch him work, and he used to drill holes in a block of wood. He used to put... Oh, I'll get quite sad.
Oh.
Put nails in the blocks. So, oh God, I'm feeling quite sad. I need to watch me not come in. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, of course, James, that's how Harrison Ford started.
Yeah.
It all links together.
Yeah, it's all joining. Gosh, it's a sort of the universe, this multi-layer.
The Harrison multiverse.
How all Harrisons are connected. I'm sure there's a way to do that.
Because you know when in that scene in Witness, the film, when they're building that barn in a day.
Yes.
Harrison Ford is actually doing the carpentry because he knows what he's doing.
There's something wonderful about carpentry. Sorry, I've got to get through the questions. But yeah, I know Daniel Day-Lewis, he built his house in the Crucible, didn't he? There's something soul therapy. My granddad was the first superhero I'd ever seen because, I didn't need Batman or Superman. I had my own real life superhero because I'd watch a pile of wood arrive on the back of a truck. Yeah. And I'd sit there as a young boy, sweet eating my sandwiches. And by the end of the day, it had become a table. It was sorcery.
Yeah.
The ability, it was a lump of wood. And then it was this beautiful thing. And I think sometimes the arts is very much like that, isn't it? That you get a script or, you're a director or you read, or you guys with your podcast, you take a show like The Archers and you make it sound beautiful. There's an alchemy in that as well.
James, I don't know if it's a Lancastrian thing. I come from a Lancastrian family, so I can identify Kendal mint cake from 1,000 miles away. But when I was...
I knew I loved you, Philippa. I knew I loved you.
When I was a child, I was given wood and hammer and nails when I was about 2 years old. And I think now... that's health and safety, but I was just left alone, bashing these real nails with a real hammer in.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we're a big believer in evolution in the North. You either make it or you don't. Survival. What happened to Philippa? Oh, she beat herself in the head with an hammer. That's a shame.
Yeah, just how it is.
She's now got a bolt. She's now got a bolt through her neck. Actually,
where in the North are you from, Philippa?
I've got family sort of everywhere: Preston, Garstang, Heysham, Morecambe. Yes.
Oh, blimey, you really do bleed mushy pee. Blimey. Yeah, best thing.
I do that. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway. That was out pit at 7 then. Yeah.
I was. But the next question. Otherwise, this is. Sorry. No, it's just so could we. The next question is. The next question is from Nikki, and Nikki says,
Hello, Nikki.
Does James like chickpeas as much as Harrison?
Absolutely. I'm a vegetarian in real
life. Same.
Oh, stop it, Lauren. You like books. You're a fake. Good job my girlfriend's not here because I've got a
She was a meat eater before this podcast started. I'm telling you.
I've just become a vegetarian.
I love a good chickpea. Chickpea is delicious. I like it in all forms. I like it in curries. I obviously adore hummus. The only time, funnily enough, I've ever eaten meat, it was fish by accident. I was with my friends at a Greek restaurant, and I was going, and then I went, oh my God, guys! I said, have you tried this pink hummus? So I was picturing, and my mate knew, and he knew I'm a lifelong veggie. I've never ate meat. My parents are veggie, and he went, "You enjoying that, are you, mate?" It's amazing. Oh, he went, it's cherry masalata. Oh, cherry masalata. I'll have to remember that. Try curry. That's really good. And he went, are you enjoying it? Yeah. And I went, well, mate, I've said the best hummus I've ever had. And he went, it's fish. I went,
it's fish eggs as well, isn't it? It's like baby fish.
Oh, so conflicted. On one hand, delicious. On another hand, no.
Oh, God.
But yes, thank you for your question. That was Andy. No, Nikki.
Nikki.
Right.
Nikki, thank you. I'm a big fan of chickpeas. I hope you are too. And if you ever see me, let's share some hummus together.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Okay, Heather's got one now for you.
Hello, Heather.
Does the backstory of Harrison falling out with his brother and other family help him to be more empathetic to the situation of various Archer family fallings out?
I think absolutely. Yeah, What a great question. I love how this is such a great show, guys. What the listeners, terrific. We've had, what would you buy from a 3-year-old? Do you like
Chickpeas?
And now, does his backstory make him more empathetic as a character? It's like, tonally, it's all over the shop, and I love it. And I love them all. It's so funny. Yes, I think undoubtedly so. And I think to be, as we were saying before, I don't know what will make it in the final podcast because we've been chatting absolutely.
It's all going in.
Oh my God, there's no trimming, it's full fat, it's all going in. No editing here, babes, no fancy work, it's raw.
It's real.
Yeah, I think to be a village policeman is different to being a policeman in the city. I think if you're a policeman in London or Manchester or Birmingham, I think you have to be a coldness, just purely on the volume of people. But I think as a village policeman, you have to be able to see both sides, I think, to be a good policeman, because very often things can be solved without it being legal, surely, about going, look, you can phone the police, but also you could just stop parking your car in his driveway.
Yes. Yeah. Come on, knocking heads together, I think it was called before in the old days.
Yeah. You could do that, or you could just, not upset him.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think he does. That's an excellent question.
Right.
I've now got another very serious question from Max.
Hit me.
And they want to know, do you think Harrison will ever find Fallon's bunting?
Was that Matt, was it called?
Max.
Max, thank you. I mean, gosh, I'd like to sate the question that's been floating around your mind. I don't think the bunting will ever be resolved.
I think it's gone.
I think it is one of the great unsolved mysteries. Or how about the AAA team, aka all of our archers, do an 8-part Netflix series where you interview everyone and track. It's a cold case.
Yeah.
Maybe you could reopen it as an All About Archers podcast special, The Bunting Files, and you could have us all in talking heads, as they do. Yeah, it was a late evening. It was dark, and you could try and solve it.
I think so. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got a question that I'm also interested in that Pam's written here, and she said, "Can James do a Southern accent?"
Hello, Pam. Well, darling, one can be versatile when one's, it's. I think one of the great. So one of my very first memories is when I was a young man, and I always wonder if it contributed to me ending up being. I mean, I was always a little lunatic, but I think I was always a very confident little kid. My mum said when I was 2, before I could talk, I'd just get up, walk across the beach, sit next to strangers and go, I couldn't even talk. And then I've always been like that, like a Labrador off the leash, And one of my first memories is when I was young, I was about 6, and I was mimicking, there used to be a kids' TV programme, Fireman Sam, I'm sure that you ever did. I was young, you see, and I'd be going, oh, Mama, there's a cat stuck up a tree. You better phone Fireman Sam. And I remember it used to make my mum and dad just weep with laughter. Oh, Beryl, I'm not joking, there's trouble. Better get and all that. And so from then, I got an ear for accents. And so I go like, oh, God. So, it depends what you want to do, right? Because you've got down here, you've got a proper geezer.
You sound like my neighbour.
That's what it is. Do you know what I mean? I like it how some people are so cockney, they get in front of themselves. Do you know what I mean? It's like it leads them, doesn't it? You've got that, and then you've got sort of a more sort of calm sort of London, and then you move up, you've got like all that, and you all down there, and then you go up, and then obviously you've got Brummie as you sort of come through the Midlands up that way, and then you've got like Manchester, haven't you? That's all a different thing altogether. And then you can go through, you've got Scouser over there, you know what I mean? Like Scouser.
Plethora.
That's right, you got Scousers up there, and then you've got the other Scousers that sound so laid back, they're down there. Then obviously you go up, you've got Geordie, which are a bit further up than that, and then you go further up, you've got like Edinburgh's sort of sing-songy, right? You've got that nice sort of Mrs. Doubtfire, and then you've got like Glasgow. Maybe I've got that the wrong way around, eh?
That's the right way.
Oh, yes.
Brilliant.
That can be your show reel.
I know. God. Send it to Spielberg. Send it to Spielberg.
James, that is astonishingly good. I'm very impressed with that.
Yeah.
The next question.
My skills are so niche. I was sat around my Christmas dinner table once with my dad. So I'm an actor, right? Useless at more or less anything apart from accents. And then my sister's a ballerina, right? And I've got a brother and sister who are twins, and one's an artist and one's a musician. And literally, my dad sat around Christmas table and went, "Look at you lot." He went, "What are you seeing? Eh? You a play? Oh, great, yeah, nice. Read me a poem. And you, what, play me a song?" He went, "I'll give me kingdom for an accountant." What are you sending you to me, all the children, you know?
Well, this next question fits into this, James. The next question is from Derek. Derek says,
"Hello, Derek.
Are you any good at cricket in real life?"
Well, Derek, thank you for your question. It's at times like this where one hates to break the illusion. I'm afraid not. I've literally just done a TV thing, and I had to play a cricketer in that, and I'm not a cricketer, and so I had lessons, right, for about a month with this semi-pro cricketer guy, and he was the Kiwi guy, you know, just hit it, and then every time it would come, he'd go, "James, you don't have to whack the ball," because I just go, "Bang," and I didn't. So I
Not rounders.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes, "You don't have to keep whacking the ball." And I go, "Okay, I'll get it." Then on the very first day of shooting, there was all the crew around like that, and you know, not to spoil the illusion, but it wasn't someone fastball. It was like someone throwing it to like a 4-year-old. And I missed it completely and nearly fell over, and all the crew went, "Be a long way."
Yeah.
So no, I'm afraid I can't play cricket. I remember Charles Collingwood told me off originally when we first started because I was saying, "Hey, we'll have to do the nets," and he went, darling, no, it's just nets, darling. It's like saying the Facebook."
So it's ironic that you were teaching Henry cricket the other day, isn't it?
It's very ironic. I mean, it's one of the great magic of radio.
Okay, but final question is a joint one. It comes from both Dawn and Rachel.
Hello, Dawn and Rachel.
Who have a similar query. And they want to know, does James think that Harrison might be prepared to take on the licence of the Bull, especially with all Fallon's hospitality and catering experience, should Kenton and Jolene retire? Or would the fact that Lillian is a partner put him off?
You guys are great. Well, thank you. It's wonderful and deep and sort of visionary. I think I would never want to sort of to usurp the glory that is Jolene and Kenton. I mean, you know, in another 30 years, who knows? But I think Jolene and Kenton are the best. Obviously, we've got Wayne in the kitchen, you know, who's become a silent character.
Very silent.
Oh, yeah. Wayne's just in there doing some fun. You know. But yeah, I mean, you know, ultimately, it would be lovely to be a publican, and I think I would in the future. But I think you know, Richard Attlee and Buffy, who I love Buffy, they do such a gorgeous job of running that pub, and aren't they just a great couple? Those two, I love the fact that, you know, they drive each other mad. They're very different people, but ultimately just adore each other. Do you know what I mean? Aren't they just the best team? So yes, eventually, what an honour that would be. It's a bit like being the landlady in EastEnders, isn't it? Or running the Rovers Return. You know, what a great treat. But I think for now, I think it's in very safe hands.
Yeah, it's an
question. What a great question.
It's an acting job for life, that one, isn't it? Running the Bull. Yeah,
that's right. I think it's always funny though. The problem in a real term, I think, when in a long running series, you never want to get too anchored to a particular thing, because sometimes if you're like anchored in the Bull, it can get to a point where you're only involved in scenes around the pub, or if you're anchored in the cafe, when actually it's quite nice as an actor. This is talking really, to be able to just be part of the village, so you can pop up there or you can pop up there, and you know, I think that's the only downside of those sort of wonderfully iconic roles is that you can become like, unless it's a scene in the Bull, you know, like you want to be able to mingle. That's why I love Harrison. He just pops up, mate. Doesn't matter. He's at Grey Gables. He's down. You know, he's everywhere as the village policeman.
Going in the wrong direction. Yeah.
What is he doing? Where is Harrison? Where's he going? The fire's that way.
James, we come to the final question for this, which is a question we do
Must
sort of
we?
pass.
Must we have the final question?
It's sad. Until next time, of course. But we
Yes,
have
yes.
a pass the parcel where we ask the cast member that we've interviewed last a question to ask the next person on. And the last person we interviewed was Tony, who plays Vince. And Vince's question for Harrison was, can you come and work as security at the abattoir? If you're vegetarian, maybe not.
As a vegetarian, you can tell Vince in case he eats that I will not be doing security at his establishment, I'm afraid. It's a very kind offer.
With respect, no.
Yeah, but I will keep an eye on his establishment in my role as a policeman moving forward.
Oh,
Very good.
James, it's just been such an
Do I have
absolute
to leave
joy
a
to talk
question
to
to
you.
move on?
Oh, you do.
Yes,
That's
we'll
going.
ask that in a moment. So that'll be a surprise
Right, sorry.
for people tuning in next. But yes, there will be a question from James or Harrison for the next person we're interviewing. But honestly, James, we have just... my face is hurting from laughing so much. Thank you so much for talking
it's
to
been-
us.
Pour a tonic on him.
been a
Let's do it every
joy.
morning. Just practice.
Thank
Yeah,
you
it's been a
so
blast.
much
Thank
for
you.
coming on.
Brilliant.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
much for absolutely your
Thank you.
time, for being such sort of fans and driving the show forward. And honestly, from the bottom of my heart, but I know everyone feels the same, this is only a community with you guys being invested and giving up your time to listen. Without listeners, essentially, it's a sort of narcissistic private radio. Like, it doesn't count for anything. You know,
Yeah.
without an audience, you know, a movie is essentially a home film. Doesn't matter how much it costs, you know, and we feel that. So thank you to literally you guys for championing our lovely little community and making it what it is and being so invested and kind and encouraging. And thank you to all the other listeners who listen and just take the time, whether that be on a Sunday or live, and become invested and part of the club. So big up the Ambridge audience. Obviously, big up the Triple A team. And mate, I want some merch. I want one of these t-shirts.
It's on
You
its way,
sell
don't
it.
you worry.
You sell
We
it on the
we
website.
do.
Yeah.
Link
Yeah.
in the show
People
notes,
should
yes.
be buying the merch. Buy their merch. Donate via Patreon. Buy their mugs. Wear the t-shirts. They're doing great work. All about the Ambridge. They do it for their hearts and for your joy. They need to eat. Feed them. Be
He
kind.
does.
That is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, James.